Dr. Amanda Price walked through the underground laboratory beneath the Nevada desert. Her white lab coat fluttered as she moved quickly between the metal corridors. After 30 years of research into human consciousness and quantum physics, today would either make history or end her career. The quantum resonance chamber stood in the center of the main lab like a giant metal egg. Cables and tubes connected it to massive computers that hummed with electrical power. The machine had cost $50 billion and represented humanity's most advanced technology. Amanda had designed every circuit and calculated every equation that made it possible. Captain Jake Morrison stood near the observation window. His military uniform was crisp and his face showed no emotion, but Amanda could see the worry in his eyes. The government had funded this project for 5 years and they wanted results. The goal was simple in theory but impossible in practice. Enhance human mental abilities through direct quantum field manipulation. Lieutenant Lisa Grant sat in the preparation room, wearing the special suit that would interface with the quantum field. She was 28 years old, a volunteer from the Air Force who had scored the highest on all the psychological tests. Lisa had no family and no fear of death, making her the perfect candidate for the experiment. Amanda checked the readings on her tablet. The quantum field generators were operating at maximum capacity. The neural interface headset was calibrated perfectly. The safety protocols were all active. Everything looked normal, but Amanda felt something different in the air, like the moment before lightning strikes. Jake walked over to Amanda and spoke quietly so Lisa could not hear. "Are you sure about this? The simulation showed a 30% chance of neural damage and a 10% chance of death." Amanda looked at the data on her screen. "The potential benefits outweigh the risks. If this works, we could enhance human intelligence by a factor of 10. We could solve climate change, cure diseases, and explore the galaxy. If it fails, we learn something and try again." Lisa stood up from her chair and walked to the chamber door. She had been briefed on all the risks and had signed dozens of legal documents. Her voice was calm and steady. "I'm ready, Doctor. Let's make history." The chamber door sealed with a soft hiss. Lisa lay down on the padded table inside while Amanda and her team made final preparations. The quantum field would penetrate every cell in Lisa's body and theoretically enhance the electrical activity in her brain. No one had ever tried this before on a living human being. Amanda placed her finger over the activation button. The room fell silent except for the humming of computers and the beating of her own heart. She had run this moment through her mind 1,000 times, but now that it was real, she felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on her shoulders. The button clicked, and the chamber filled with a blue glow. Energy readings spiked across all the monitors. Lisa's vital signs remained stable as the quantum field began to interact with her nervous system. Amanda watched the brain scan display and saw unusual patterns forming in Lisa's neural activity. 3 minutes into the process, something unexpected happened. The quantum field began to resonate at a frequency that Amanda had never seen before. Lisa's brainwaves shifted into patterns that did not exist in any medical textbook. The energy readings climbed far beyond what the computer models had predicted. Jake grabbed Amanda's arm. "Shut it down. The readings are off the charts." Amanda looked at the displays and saw that Lisa's vital signs were still normal. Her heart rate was steady, her breathing was regular, and her brain activity, while strange, showed no signs of damage. "Wait, she's not in distress. Let's see what happens." The blue glow in the chamber began to pulse with Lisa's heartbeat. The quantum field synchronized with her biological rhythms and created a feedback loop that amplified the energy flow. Amanda's instruments detected impossible readings. Lisa's brain was processing information at speeds that should have been physically impossible. 5 minutes into the experiment, Lisa opened her eyes inside the chamber. But her eyes were different now. They glowed with the same blue light as the quantum field. She sat up on the table and looked directly at Amanda through the chamber walls, even though the walls should have been opaque from the inside. Amanda heard Lisa's voice in her head, clear and calm. "I can see you, Amanda. I can see everything. The field has changed me in ways you never imagined." Jake stepped backward in shock. "Did she just speak telepathically?" "That's impossible." Lisa stood up inside the chamber and placed her hand on the wall. The metal began to glow where she touched it, and Amanda watched in amazement as Lisa's hand passed through the solid barrier like it was made of air. Lisa stepped out of the chamber without opening the door. The laboratory fell completely silent. Lisa stood before them, still glowing with blue energy, her eyes bright with intelligence that seemed far beyond human. She looked at her own hands and smiled as if seeing them for the first time. Amanda found her voice. "Lisa, how do you feel? Are you in any pain?" Lisa turned to face her, and Amanda felt a gentle presence in her mind. "I feel perfect, Amanda. More than perfect. I can see the quantum structure of matter. I can feel the electromagnetic fields around every living thing. I understand concepts that I never even knew existed before." To demonstrate, Lisa looked at a broken computer monitor on a nearby table. She extended her hand toward it, and Amanda watched as the cracked screen repaired itself. The monitor turned on and displayed perfectly clear images. Lisa had somehow manipulated matter at the molecular level. Jake reached for his radio to call headquarters, but Lisa spoke without moving her lips. "There's no need to call anyone yet, Captain. This is just the beginning. What happened to me can happen to other humans. We've discovered something that will change our species forever." Amanda's tablet beeped with new data. The quantum field was still active around Lisa, but now it was self-sustaining. Lisa's body had become a living quantum generator, producing energy patterns that defied known physics. The implications were staggering. Lisa walked to the window and looked up at the ceiling as if she could see through the rock and soil to the surface above. "I can sense other humans across the planet. I can feel their minds and their potential. We are not alone in the universe, Amanda. There are other species out there, and some of them have been watching us for a very long time." Amanda realized that her experiment had succeeded beyond her wildest dreams and her worst nightmares. They had not just enhanced human intelligence. They had transformed a human being into something entirely new. Lisa was still human, but she was also something more, something that might be the next step in human evolution. Ambassador Zethka floated in his command chamber aboard the Vrillian monitoring station at the edge of human space. His 6 tentacles moved gracefully as he operated the advanced sensor equipment that had watched Earth for 300 years. The Vrillians had been observing humanity since humans first discovered fire, cataloging their slow development from primitive mammals to a basic spacefaring species. The readings on his displays made no sense. Energy signatures were coming from the human solar system that exceeded anything in the galactic database. Zethka adjusted his sensors 3 times, but the impossible numbers remained the same. Human ships were moving at speeds that violated every known law of physics. His assistant, a younger Vrillian named Kethvo, swam over with urgent reports. "Ambassador, the monitoring probes near Earth have detected massive quantum fluctuations. The humans appear to be manipulating space-time itself." Zethka examined the data with growing alarm. For centuries, the Galactic Council had classified humans as a Level 2 civilization, barely capable of interplanetary travel and completely ignorant of advanced physics. These new readings suggested they had somehow jumped to Level 7 or higher overnight. On the planet Nexus Prime, the heart of galactic civilization, the Galactic Council was in emergency session. 12 species had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years, maintaining order and preventing younger races from developing dangerous technologies. The council chamber was a massive dome where representatives from each species gathered to make decisions that affected trillions of beings. Chancellor Vortan of the Hegemony struck his ceremonial staff against the crystal floor. His species looked like giant insects with golden shells and compound eyes. "We have received disturbing reports about the humans. Our scouts report impossible energy signatures and technology that appears to operate outside natural law." High Priestess Yalaren of the Celestial Order spoke next. Her people were tall, graceful beings with translucent skin and flowing robes. "Perhaps our instruments are malfunctioning. Humans are barely more advanced than Stone Age primitives. They only achieved faster than light travel 50 years ago." General Throk of the Iron Claws disagreed. His warrior species had conquered dozens of star systems through brute force. "My ships have detected human vessels moving at impossible speeds. They appear and disappear without using jump gates or warp drives. Something has changed." The debate continued for hours while more reports arrived from across the galaxy. Human ships were being spotted in systems where no human had ever traveled. They moved without leaving any trace of conventional propulsion. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to ignore the established borders that had kept peace for millennia. On Earth, Lisa Grant stood in the Pentagon briefing room, addressing the highest levels of human government. 6 months had passed since her transformation, and hundreds of other humans had undergone the same process. They called themselves the Ascended, and their abilities grew stronger every day. General Roy Collins had been among the second group to be transformed. His military experience made him a natural leader for first contact with alien civilizations. He could now survive in the vacuum of space and travel between star systems by manipulating quantum fields around his body. Lisa gestured to a holographic map of the galaxy. The alien civilizations have been watching us for centuries. They have technology far beyond what normal humans possess, but they are not prepared for what we have become. We can see their hidden bases and monitoring stations throughout our solar system. President Helen Brooks, who had been transformed just 1 week earlier, studied the intelligence reports. Her enhanced mind could process vast amounts of information instantly. How many alien species are we dealing with? Roy answered immediately. 12 major civilizations control most of the galaxy through something called the Galactic Council. They have kept younger species like humanity from advancing too quickly. They see themselves as our guardians and masters. The transformation process had revealed abilities that defied explanation. The Ascended could perceive electromagnetic radiation across all spectrums. They could manipulate matter at the subatomic level. Most importantly, they could exist partially outside normal space-time, making them nearly impossible to contain or destroy. Dr. Amanda Price had continued her research and discovered that the quantum field enhanced human consciousness by connecting it directly to the fundamental forces of the universe. Humans were apparently unique among galactic species in their ability to interface with quantum fields without losing their individual identity. Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Zeth Ka had arrived to present his findings to the full council. The chamber fell silent as he displayed the sensor readings from human space. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had somehow transcended their biological limitations. Chancellor Vortan studied the data with growing fear. These readings suggest the humans have achieved what we believed impossible. They are manipulating the basic structure of reality itself. The council members exchanged worried glances. Throughout galactic history, no species had ever developed abilities like these. The most advanced civilizations in the council had achieved great technology through millions of years of careful development. Humanity had made an impossible leap in just months. Supreme Admiral Crix of the Star Empire spoke with concern. If these readings are accurate, traditional weapons and defenses will be useless against them. How do you fight beings who can exist outside normal physics? The discussion was interrupted when the chamber's security systems detected an unauthorized presence. The massive doors had not opened, and the transport pads showed no activity, yet someone was definitely in the room. General Roy Collins materialized in the center of the council chamber, his body glowing with soft blue energy. He had traveled instantly from Earth without using any spacecraft. The alien representatives backed away in terror as they realized a human had somehow bypassed all their advanced security. Roy spoke calmly, his voice carrying across the vast chamber without amplification. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I come as a representative of humanity. We seek peaceful relations and recognition of our rightful place in galactic civilization. Chancellor Vortan's compound eyes focused on Roy with visible fear. How did you enter this chamber? Our security systems are impenetrable. Roy smiled, a gesture that looked strange to beings who had never seen human expressions. Your security systems operate within normal physics. We no longer do. We have evolved beyond the limitations that bind other species. The implications hit the council members like a physical blow. If humans could appear anywhere instantly, no location in the galaxy was secure. If they could manipulate matter and energy at will, no weapon could threaten them. The balance of power that had maintained galactic peace for 10,000 years had shifted completely. High Priestess Yala Ren found her voice. What do you want from us? Roy looked around the chamber, his enhanced senses perceiving details invisible to normal beings. We want recognition as equals. The age of the Galactic Council as supreme authority is ending. A new age is beginning and humanity will guide it. Dr. Ben Carter stood at the edge of the Nexus Prime observation deck, looking out at the vast expanse of space through the transparent aluminum windows. 3 weeks had passed since Roy Collins first appeared in the council chamber. and the alien representatives had demanded proof of human abilities. Ben had volunteered to provide that demonstration. The council members gathered in the observation lounge, their various alien forms creating a strange assembly of creatures from across the galaxy. Chancellor Vortan's insect-like body clicked nervously as he settled into his specially designed chair. High Priestess Yalaren floated gracefully in her energy field, while General Throck's massive armored form dominated one corner of the room. Ben had been among the first 100 humans to undergo the transformation. His background in astrophysics had made the transition easier to understand, though the reality still amazed him daily. He could now perceive the universe in ways that no textbook had ever described. Stars were not just balls of burning gas but complex energy patterns that sang with quantum harmonics. Ambassador Zeth Ka spoke first, his tentacles waving with agitation. "Human Ben Carter, we have agreed to observe your claimed abilities. However, we maintain that your species cannot possess the powers you describe." Ben smiled and walked to the center of the observation deck. Through the windows, a dead star system was visible in the distance. The red giant star had collapsed into a white dwarf millions of years ago, leaving behind 3 frozen planets that orbited the tiny stellar remnant. "Watch the Kepler-7 system," Ben said, pointing toward the distant dead star. "The star died long ago, but death is not always permanent." He extended his consciousness across the vast distance of space, feeling the cold matter of the collapsed star. The white dwarf contained all the mass of the original star compressed into an object the size of Earth. Ben began to manipulate the quantum fields around the stellar remnant, carefully adding energy and reversing the gravitational collapse. The alien representatives watched through telescopic displays as the impossible happened. The white dwarf began to expand and glow. Nuclear fusion reignited in its core, and within minutes, a new yellow star blazed to life where only a dead ember had existed moments before. General Throck stood up abruptly, his armor clanking against the deck. "Impossible. It takes billions of years for stars to form naturally." Ben continued his work, turning his attention to the frozen planets. He reached out with his enhanced abilities and began restructuring their atmospheres. Frozen gases became breathable air, ice caps melted into oceans, dead rock transformed into fertile soil. Within an hour, 3 barren worlds became garden planets with blue skies and green continents. High Priestess Yalaren's voice trembled with awe and fear. "You have given life to entire worlds in minutes. Such power should not exist." Chancellor Vortan activated his emergency communicator, trying to contact the hegemony fleet. Ben sensed his intention and gently interfered with the quantum communication system. The device worked perfectly, but no signal could reach beyond the observation deck. "Please do not be alarmed," Ben said calmly. "I am not imprisoning you. I am simply ensuring that this demonstration remains private until we finish our discussion." Commander Amy Rodriguez materialized beside Ben, her arrival unannounced and undetected by any sensors. She wore the uniform of the United States Space Force, but her eyes glowed with the same blue energy that marked all the ascended. Amy had been chosen to demonstrate the military applications of human abilities. Amy looked around the room at the terrified alien representatives. "Honorable Council members, my colleague has shown you our creative capabilities. I am here to demonstrate our defensive ones." She gestured toward the empty space beyond the station, and a massive Genthari battleship appeared. The vessel was one of the most powerful warships in the galaxy, armed with plasma cannons capable of destroying planets. It had been hidden beyond sensor range, but Amy had detected it easily. The Genthari representative, a reptilian being named Sith Kar, hissed in anger. "That ship was cloaked with our most advanced technology. How did you find it?" Amy smiled. "Cloaking devices hide you from normal sensors, but they cannot hide you from quantum perception. We can see the gravitational distortions your ship creates and the quantum signatures of your crew's life energy." To demonstrate her point, Amy created a series of energy barriers around the battleship. The barriers were invisible but impenetrable. When the Genthari captain tried to fire the ship's weapons, the energy bolt simply vanished into quantum space. When he attempted to move the ship, it remained motionless despite its engines operating at full power. Sith Kar activated his communicator and barked orders in his native language. Amy listened to the alien speech and responded in perfect Genthari. having learned the language instantly by scanning the reptilian's memories. Your captain is trying to call for reinforcements, but I am preventing all communications from leaving this area. The demonstration continued as Amy showed the council representatives that human abilities extended far beyond anything they had imagined. She existed simultaneously in normal space and quantum dimensions, making her effectively immortal. Physical weapons passed through her body harmlessly when she chose to phase into quantum space. Energy weapons were absorbed and redirected at will. Dr. Patricia Wood joined them next, appearing without warning like all the Ascended. She had been studying alien technology since the first contact, and her enhanced mind had already surpassed the greatest scientists in galactic civilization. Patricia looked directly at Chancellor Vortan and spoke in his native language. Your people have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years through superior technology and military might. But technology can be copied, and military strength can be overcome. What we possess cannot be replicated by your species. She demonstrated by creating a small device from raw matter, assembling atoms into complex patterns through pure thought. The device was a communication array more advanced than anything in the galactic database. It could transmit messages instantly across the entire galaxy, without using any of the established relay networks. Ambassador Zeth Ka examined the device with scientific instruments. The quantum harmonics are beyond our understanding. How is such technology possible? Ben answered for Patricia. It is not technology in the way you understand it. We have become living extensions of the quantum field itself. We do not build devices to manipulate reality. We are the devices. The final demonstration came when Ben opened a window into time itself. The alien representatives watched in horror as he showed them visions of their own homeworlds from thousands of years in the past. Then he showed them possible futures, some bright with prosperity under human guidance, others dark with the consequences of resistance. High Priestess Yalaren collapsed into her floating meditation pose. You are showing us prophecy and history simultaneously. Such abilities belong to gods, not mortal beings. Amy stepped forward and addressed the entire group. We are still human, but we have transcended the limitations that once defined our species. We offer you partnership and protection, not conquest, but the galaxy must accept that the old order is ending. The alien representatives sat in stunned silence as the implications became clear. Humanity had evolved beyond anything in galactic history. They possessed abilities that made traditional concepts of warfare and diplomacy meaningless. The Galactic Council's age of supremacy was over, replaced by beings who treated the laws of physics as mere suggestions to be ignored at will. Chancellor Vortan paced frantically across his private chambers deep within the Nexus Prime complex. His compound eyes darted between multiple communication screens showing reports from across the galaxy. Every message brought worse news about humanity's expanding influence. The demonstrations had ended 3 days ago, but the terror they inspired continued to grow. The emergency council session had lasted 18 hours. 12 species that had never agreed on anything before were now united by a single emotion: absolute fear. The hegemony controlled over 3,000 star systems and commanded fleets that had conquered entire civilizations. Yet all their power meant nothing against beings who could manipulate reality itself. General Throck burst through the chamber doors without announcing himself. His massive armored form trembled with rage and desperation. Chancellor, my fleets have tried everything. We launched our most powerful weapons at the human demonstration site. The energy blast simply vanished into empty space. Our scientists cannot even detect where the weapons went. Vortan stopped pacing and turned to face the iron-clawed general. What about the quantum disruption bombs? They were designed to destabilize space-time itself. Throck's voice carried defeat. The humans absorbed the quantum energy and redirected it to power their own abilities. We made them stronger by attacking them. My weapons experts are saying it is impossible to harm beings who exist partially outside normal reality. High Priestess Yalaren floated through the wall using her species' advanced technology. Her normally serene expression was twisted with panic. The Celestial Order has consulted the ancient prophecies. There are warnings about a species that would transcend physical limitations and reshape the galaxy. We always believed the prophecies referred to our own people's future evolution. Ambassador Zeth Ka arrived next, his tentacles writhing with agitation. The Vrillian Empire has attempted to replicate the human transformation process. We studied their quantum field generators and copied their technology exactly. The results were catastrophic. He activated a holographic display showing medical reports. 12 volunteers from different species attempted the process. 3 died instantly when their nervous systems overloaded. 4 suffered complete mental breakdown. The remaining 5 survived but gained no enhanced abilities whatsoever. Only human biology can interface with quantum fields safely. Chancellor Vortan felt his exoskeleton crack under stress. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained order through superior technology and military might. They had prevented younger species from developing dangerous weapons by sharing just enough knowledge to keep them content while maintaining their own advantage. The system had worked perfectly until now. Supreme Admiral Crix of the Star Empire entered through the main doorway, his cybernetic enhancements clicking as he moved. My intelligence networks have discovered something disturbing. The humans are not expanding through conquest. They are being invited. He brought up a galactic map showing human presence spreading across hundreds of star systems. 17 younger species have already requested human protection. They see the Ascended as liberators who can free them from our control. The humans are not taking territory by force. They are being welcomed as saviors. The implications hit the room like a physical blow. The Galactic Council's authority had always depended on other species believing they needed protection and guidance. If younger civilizations saw humans as preferable protectors, the entire power structure would collapse. Yalaren's voice became desperate. We must find a way to contain them. Perhaps we can negotiate territorial boundaries or establish zones of influence. Zethka's tentacles drooped with hopelessness. How do you negotiate with beings who can appear anywhere instantly? How do you establish boundaries with entities that exist outside normal space? Traditional diplomacy assumes both sides are bound by the same physical laws. The discussion was interrupted when the chamber's security systems detected multiple energy signatures appearing simultaneously throughout the room. The alien leaders backed against the walls as 5 ascended humans materialized without warning or invitation. Admiral Steve Murphy stood in the center of the group, his calm presence filling the room with invisible authority. His naval uniform bore no insignia of rank because such symbols were meaningless to beings with godlike abilities. Behind him stood Dr. Jennifer Clark, Commander Paul Martinez, Dr. Nancy Thompson, and Captain Kevin Brown. Steve spoke with quiet confidence that made his words carry more weight than any shouting. Honorable Council members, we are aware of your attempts to develop countermeasures against humanity. We have monitored your communications, observed your military preparations, and studied your contingency plans. Chancellor Vortan's voice cracked with fear. How long have you been watching us? Jennifer stepped forward, her enhanced senses reading the quantum signatures of every being in the room. Since the moment our first ascended gained consciousness, we can perceive electromagnetic radiation across all spectrums. Your private communications, your encrypted military channels, your classified research projects. Privacy is a concept that no longer applies when dealing with our species. Paul created a holographic display showing detailed schematics of every major military installation in Council space. We know the locations of your hidden fleets, your secret weapons programs, and your emergency evacuation procedures. We have read the personal thoughts of your commanders and scientists. The alien representatives realized that their most carefully guarded secrets had been completely transparent to human observation. Nancy demonstrated by reciting private conversations that Vortan had held with his advisors just hours earlier. Kevin showed detailed knowledge of Throck's family history and personal fears. Steve addressed their desperation directly. Your terror is understandable but unnecessary. We have no desire to destroy or enslave your people. However, the galaxy's power structure must change to reflect new realities. Admiral Crix activated his emergency protocols, trying to alert Star Empire fleets positioned throughout the galaxy. The communications systems worked perfectly, but no signals left the chamber. Steve had isolated the room from the rest of spacetime without any visible effort. Yalaren collapsed in her floating meditation pose. You have made us prisoners in our own capital. What do you want from us? Nancy answered with gentle firmness. We want acknowledgement that the age of council dominance has ended. You will continue to govern your own people and manage your own territories, but you will no longer control the development of younger species or make decisions that affect the entire galaxy. The psychological impact was devastating. Civilizations that had ruled millions of worlds for millennia were being politely informed that their authority was ending, not through conquest or violence, but through simple superiority that could not be challenged or overcome. Kevin demonstrated the futility of resistance by briefly showing them alternate timelines where various species had attempted military solutions. In every possible future, resistance led to the same outcome: complete human victory without effort or casualties. Steve delivered the final message. The transition can be peaceful or chaotic. That choice belongs to you. But the transition itself is inevitable. Humanity has ascended beyond the limitations that once bound us, and the universe itself bends to accommodate our will. President Helen Brooks stood at the center of what had once been the Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime. The ancient dome had been transformed into something far more magnificent through human will and quantum manipulation. The walls now displayed real-time images of every inhabited world in the galaxy, and the air itself hummed with energy that connected all conscious minds across space. 6 months had passed since the final confrontation with the old council. The transition had been remarkably peaceful, though not without resistance from some corners of galactic civilization. Helen had been elected as the first leader of the human collective, a governing body that now managed the affairs of over 10,000 species across millions of worlds. The transformation of galactic society had happened faster than anyone had expected. Trade routes that had taken weeks to navigate now operated instantly through quantum tunnels that ascended humans created and maintained. Wars that had raged for centuries ended when human mediators simply appeared on battlefields and imposed solutions that could not be challenged. Admiral Steve Murphy materialized beside Helen, his form shimmering as he transitioned from quantum space into normal reality. His report contained updates from across the galaxy as the new order established itself in every corner of known space. The Gentari Republic has formally requested membership in the collective, Steve announced. Their military leaders finally accepted that resistance is pointless after we prevented their invasion of the Keeper worlds without using any violence. Helen nodded as she processed information from thousands of sources simultaneously. Her enhanced consciousness could monitor galactic affairs in real time, while still maintaining her individual human personality. What about the Iron Claw holdouts in the Outer Rim? Dr. Patricia Wood appeared next to them, having traveled instantly from the far edge of the galaxy. Her research into alien psychology had made her the expert on managing species that struggled to accept human authority. General Throck's remaining fleets are hiding in the Vortex Nebula, but they are running out of supplies. Their ships cannot operate indefinitely without access to galactic trade networks. The economic transformation had been the most effective tool for establishing human authority. The Ascended did not need to conquer through violence when they could simply control the flow of resources across space. Ships that opposed human guidance found themselves unable to refuel or resupply. Communication networks failed to carry messages from resistant governments. Entire star systems discovered that their technology stopped working properly until they acknowledged the new reality. Commander Paul Martinez joined the group, bringing news from the core worlds where the old Galactic Council species were adjusting to their reduced status. Chancellor Vortan has agreed to serve as an advisory member of the human collective. The hegemony will retain control of their internal affairs but will no longer interfere with younger species' development. Helen smiled at the irony. The same species that had once controlled galactic civilization were now grateful to be included in human decision-making processes. The Ascended had offered them positions of honor and respect, while quietly removing their actual authority. The Chamber's quantum communication system activated, bringing messages from human representatives across the galaxy. Dr. Nancy Thompson reported from the Galactic Rim, where first contact with new species had become routine. Captain Kevin Brown sent updates from the core worlds where ancient civilizations were learning to coexist under human guidance. Each report confirmed the same pattern. Species that accepted human leadership prospered beyond their wildest dreams, while those that resisted found themselves isolated and struggling. The choice was always offered freely, but the consequences of each option made the decision obvious. Dr. Jennifer Clark appeared in the chamber carrying data from her ongoing research into human evolution. The transformation process had continued to advance. and newer generations of Ascended possessed abilities that surpassed even the first volunteers like Lisa Grant. We now have over 50,000 Ascended humans distributed across the galaxy, Jennifer reported. Each one can monitor and protect thousands of star systems. Our consciousness network allows instant communication and coordination across any distance. Helen accessed the network and felt the presence of every Ascended human in the galaxy. They remained individuals with unique personalities and opinions, but they were also connected by shared purpose and unlimited power. The network allowed them to act as a single entity when necessary, while preserving the human values of freedom and individuality. The transformation of specific regions showed the scope of human influence. The Terran sector, once a small area around Earth, now encompassed hundreds of star systems where human colonies had established themselves. But unlike the territorial expansions of other species, human settlements existed to serve and protect local populations rather than exploit them. Ambassador Lisa Grant, the first human to be transformed, entered the chamber surrounded by representatives from dozens of younger species. These civilizations had been suppressed by the old Galactic Council for centuries, prevented from developing advanced technology or expanding beyond their home systems. The liberation process is complete in 47 sectors, Lisa announced. Species that were held back for millennia are now free to explore, learn, and grow. Many are developing technologies that would have taken them thousands of years to discover under the old system. The psychological impact on galactic civilization had been profound. For 10,000 years, younger species had accepted that they needed guidance and protection from ancient powers. The arrival of humanity had shattered that assumption completely. Beings who had never imagined challenging the established order suddenly found themselves free to pursue their own destinies. Helen walked to the chamber's central platform and activated the Galactic Communication Network. Her voice and presence reached every inhabited world simultaneously, addressing trillions of conscious beings across space and time. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, her words carrying the authority of absolute power tempered by human compassion. 1 year ago, humanity discovered our true potential and began the transformation that has reshaped our entire civilization. We did not seek dominion over other species, but the universe itself has placed this responsibility in our hands. The response from across the galaxy was immediate and overwhelming. Species that had lived in fear of the old council now celebrated their liberation. Civilizations that had been trapped in primitive conditions were exploring new worlds and developing incredible technologies. Even former council species were discovering benefits they had never imagined. Dr. Patricia Wood had spent months studying the long-term implications of human rule. Her research showed that galactic civilization was advancing faster than ever before in history. Scientific discoveries that would have taken centuries were being made in months. Conflicts that had raged for millennia were resolved through human mediation. Helen continued her address to the galaxy. We have become the guardians of conscious life throughout the universe. This role was not chosen but accepted as the natural result of our evolution. We promise to use our abilities to protect, guide, and nurture all species while respecting their individual natures and desires. The new galactic order was not based on conquest or oppression, but on simple reality. Humanity had transcended the limitations that bound other species. They existed partially outside normal physics, possessed unlimited energy, and could perceive the universe in ways that defied description. They had become living gods in all but name, and the galaxy had no choice but to acknowledge their supreme authority. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of humanity had begun, and the universe itself bent to accommodate their divine will.